Hello everyone, WX Ninja here with your daily weather update. I'm also going to touch a little bit on the California wildfires. They have died down, but we'll go over a few things with them. Again, if you like this sort of thing and want to get daily updates, just go ahead and subscribe, click the bell icon, and you'll get those updates. Alright, so let's take a first look at the current conditions. As you can see, you can kind of see there's a little bit of a front, about like that. Definitely a little colder up north here, into the 20s in some areas. But again, that's not too abnormal for this time of year. We're getting into winter. Not yet, but we are trending that way, of course. Some states just had daylight savings time. Others don't do it. So whatever your opinion is on that, it's done. So one thing I want to mention is I've seen some reports talking about it's going to get super cold in areas and just a huge, possibly 3 shots of colder air coming in and kind of hyping that up. Yeah, it's going to get cold in some areas. Most of the areas that are going to get cold expect to get cold this time of year. It's not like we're going to see snow in Florida or something. So like I always say, just take all those reports with a grain of salt. We'll just kind of see how things shake out. But it is going to get colder in some areas. So let's, as we see this, just some light rain in some areas, a little bit of snow back here in Montana, probably the higher parts of Utah there. But let's go on over here and we'll take a look at those temperatures I was talking about. So this is right now, a little cooler in some areas, a little cooler on the East Coast as we go forward in time, 24 hours. See a little cold pool develop here up in Montana and Dakotas and Minnesota, typical spots again, West Coast. You got it, high and dry. Move forward in time, that gets shunted a little bit, but it starts to expand over here. See a little bit of colder air looking like maybe it's going to come down. This goes over the Great Lakes region. And then we see that cold pool shift from BC into Montana, Dakotas. Tries to go a little bit south there. Then it finally does go further south. Gets down to Texas, Oklahoma. I know you guys have seen some snow already, so a little bit cooler down there again, Great Lakes region. Again, where you would expect it to be cold, it's going to be cold. Maybe some surprises here on the East Coast and maybe a little bit further south than we'd expect this time of year. That all moves off to the East Coast. And there are going to be areas in here that are going to be a little colder than normal. High and dry on the West Coast. Now we see another, looks like this pushes off to the east and maybe another shot coming down. This is this coming Sunday, so we're a little ways out in time. Look at the sharp temperature contrast. We were talking earlier, I think it was on Friday of last week, about the tightly packed isobars. Just a sharp contrast here. So we'll have to see what the winds do. All that moves off, basically 2/3 of the country. The eastern 2/3 of the country is going to be colder than normal. This one probably would be the most significant one out of all the different shots, colder air. So we'll have to keep an eye on this, see if any snow develops with it. This is for Tuesday, November 12th, day after Veterans Day. Look at the West Coast, just high and dry. That moves off to the east. So Florida, yeah, you will be a little cooler than average. Probably won't be any frost or freezes or anything like that, I wouldn't think. But we'll have to see how that develops. If it gets stronger, moves a little further south, that could affect things. So if you're a farmer in that area, and you have some crops, just keep an eye out on the weather. And this is the very last image, November 14th. Again, this is way out in time, but you see, as you would expect, the cold pool dies down. It doesn't have it's not tapped into any Arctic air or anything. High and dry in the east, and look at how warm it gets up here near BC. Whew. Warmer than average. That was the European model. Let's go over to the snowfall on the GFS. This is basically the American model. You see the snow showers going on right now. We're going to go in 24-hour increments. So let's go out 48 hours here. You see a little system coming across the northern states here, up to 3, maybe 6 inches in some areas. Go up to 72 hours. Looks like the storm sticks around. So it could be an interesting snowmaker here around the Great Lakes region. We'll have to see how that pans out. Again, this is for Thursday. Kind of sticks around and spreads off to the east here. I may have this on the wrong one. Sorry. No, that's right. So pretty good snowstorm going along here. Nope, this is the wrong image. I apologize. Let's try that again. That looks better. I had it on the total. So that was giving you a storm total throughout the entire run. So you see the system move now, it moves off into the east. It's like some pretty heavy snows here on parts of probably the higher terrain on the east coast there, north the east coast. Then it moves off, pretty quiet, maybe some snow showers left down here. See another little system come, probably 2 to 4 inches in most of these places up here. This is for Sunday, this coming Sunday. Then you see it kind of dives down a little bit, probably 1 to 3 inches, maybe some spots of 4 or 5 inches in the higher areas. Then some snow back here. This probably in the higher terrain. Tuesday of next week, see some snow. They're calling for some snow on the east coast here. We'll have to see, and some Great Lakes, maybe some lake effect snows. That's why you see the darker colors in there. We'll have to see how this plays out. Excuse me. Is this going to be a higher hills type deal, or is it going to be all the way down to sea level? Go forward in time, same kind of deal again, some Great Lakes snow. And looks like another little system coming across the upper northern states there. Then we see a bigger snowstorm set up. So this is probably going to be in the mountains and other parts of Montana, probably 3 to 6 inches in some area. The same kind of deal here along the Great Lakes region. But again, this is November 14th. You're probably not surprised to see snow on November 14th in these areas. See this sag a little south? There's some 6-inch total in there. This would be a pretty decent snowstorm for these areas, if this holds true. Again, that's Friday, November 15th. This is the 16th. You see the front kind of moves off to the east, and leaves some heavier snow behind it. So this would be a good little system. Have to see if it holds together. Now we're talking about the west coast getting in on some mountain snow. Parts of Idaho, Montana, and then the east coast. That could be all the way down to sea level. We'll have to see how that goes. This is some spreads on east. Leave some snow in the Rockies, the higher terrain it looks like. Again, this is way out there. Now we're talking November 19th, so just take this with a grain of salt. We're just looking for patterns here to see if this continues to show. This is the first time we've seen these biggest snowstorms, so Four Corners region getting in some heavy snow. See some 7-inch there. So this would be a pretty decent snowstorm for them, and then it kind of heads off, connects into the Great Lakes region. Probably a front sagging down like this. Excuse me. This is some really heavy snow. That's like a foot of snow. This is so far out in the future, I really wouldn't take, too much into what this says. Let's go over to, now this is the same model, but this is all precip types, has the lows and highs obviously, and the lines of pressure. This goes in 6-hour increments. Just kind of see how things develop. First shot of snow coming. Some rain off the east coast there. Just kind of scoots off. See the snowmaker coming. This probably will happen. This is only Wednesday, so I think exact area and snow totals probably going to be in this general area. Probably 1 to 3 inches, maybe a little more. It looks like in some spots. Just heads off to the east there. Kind of pushes back north. There's your tightly packed ISO bar. It's going to be a little windy in there probably. We get this tropical low hooking up with the front. Heavy rains right here. Texas, Oklahoma, and whatnot. Headed off to the east, and then snow to the north around the Great Lakes region. And you see pretty good shot of snow there. Some tropical moisture down below in the southern states. That scoots off to the east coast. Pretty quiet for next week for next weekend. Big low off the coast there. Next shot of snow. We got a low here. Looks like it's going to stay too far north to really affect the U.S. too much. Trying to connect with some of this moisture, and looks like it does. So there's more of your snowfall. Heads off to the east coast. See if it sweeps on through. It kind of dies out as it sweeps on through the east coast. So it wouldn't be a lot of snow. Showing a little bit of ice storm here in parts of Texas and Oklahoma. Down just north of Louisiana there. We'll have to see if that happens. Then it kind of dies out. A little bit of snow behind here over in the Carolinas. That sweeps off the east coast. There's this big digging front right here. We saw the colder shot of cold air. It's Tuesday, November 12th. You get the big low. So maybe a little snowstorm here for the east coast. We'll have to see. That's for next Tuesday. You see a little bit of rain moving into Washington. A bit of rain in Montana. Snow in the far eastern part of Maine there. And this low starts to develop. Looks like it's trying to make a snowstorm. Moves down, gets some heavier snow there. Parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin. Slowly makes its way off to the east. Keeps going. See if it swings on through the east coast. It's kind of dying out. You got another low developing here in the Rockies. Some scattered snow showers probably would be the upper hills. Now you got this low, it's taking some moisture out in front of it. And you got the snow here behind it, or to the north of it. Then it combines. So we've seen this little ice storm here for several runs in a row now. This is Friday the 15th. So a little snow, and then your freezing line, and then your tropical moisture behind it. Scoots off to the east. Maybe a little ice there. Then some heavier snow and heavier rain. So that'll be your dividing line. It'll be interesting to see exactly where that sets up. Moves off to the east coast. You see the cold high behind it. Seen a system trying to affect the west coast. Pretty big rainmaker there down all the way to Georgia, up to the Carolinas, parts of the east coast. Snow on the backside of it. Looks like maybe this is the real shot of rain for the west coast. A little bit of northern California. This big low just sits off the east coast here, throwing rain, lots of rain and some snow. Moves off the coast. Mariners, you got to watch out for this. That could be some heavy precip. Snow behind it. Pretty big rainmaker here. Some snow in the Cascades. But again, it stays out of California, really. So you see the snow into Idaho. Some rain and some mountain snow there. This would be pretty windy on the east coast there. You see the low dropped a little bit south. Got some snow behind it. Some more rain for the west coast. Rain's trying to dig south as this low goes further south, but just not enough moisture left behind. So you're left with some snow showers behind it. Moves off through the country there. Again, this is way out in time, but we'll just roll through this. You can kind of see what happens here. It tries to develop an ice storm. That'd be a pretty big ice storm. This is so far out in time, I wouldn't put too much stock in this. Big low shooting across the country, rain and snowmaker. One thing I want to show you, here's a satellite loop. This is why California is so dry. It's Alaska right here. You can tell all these clouds are kind of going up and around because there's a big high off the west coast. So it's just keeping Washington, Oregon, California dry. You can kind of see it a little better here. You know, it's set up over in here. It's kind of killing this system, kind of forcing everything north. It's forcing everything north, and you can see how it's dropping back down. That's why California is having this wildfire problem. It gets the hive that sets up over here in Nevada, just pushes the wind, and that's when you get the Santa Anas. Now here's your fire. Let me fix this image just a little bit for you guys. So we're talking about the Kincaid fire, and it's 80% contained, almost 78,000 acres though. Maria fire, almost 9,500 acres, 80% contained. The Ranch fire, 10% contained at 550 acres, so that's not too good. This fire, Sobrante fire, 35 acres, 0% contained. Hopefully they can get that under control. That was of November 1st, so it hasn't been updated. And so hopefully that's getting somewhat contained. It's still pretty small. The winds are calm down there. Hopefully they're getting things under control. One last thing I wanted to show you is the Simi Valley map. I left this part up just so you guys will see. Up here, if you type in an address, if you're anywhere in this area, it'll show you if you're in the evacuation zone, talk about power outages and all that. So with this, let me get this image on here for you better. You can see the Maria fire incident, and it shows, you know, you can click in here and see Maria fire perimeter, 9,400 acres. So they had some evacuation advisories lifted on Halloween evening, or I'm sorry, it was lifted on the 2nd at 10 a.m. So that'll be good. Hopefully some people are getting back in there. They got this fire under control. They feel pretty good about it. So there you go. I'll have all those same links though in the description. So if you guys are interested in seeing that, just take a look, click on the different links. That'll give you all the info you need. Again, this is WX Ninja. Appreciate everyone stopping by. Take care.